who knows? But first things, I'm gonna fuck with these settings, because like apparently there was some kind of like display setting that you can pick things. It says the brightness. Let's see here. So apparently I heard it has adaptability. Be one of the better ones that actually stream in like a 4K resolution, which I'm really stoked for because I like this game. This game was so amazing, and like if they had more Paramount backdrops, it would be even better. But we're gonna find out. Like for right now, let's see here. Display subtitles. No, it should be fine. But for the most part, I think everything's mixed really well. Nothing that we can really get out of general controls besides that. Special features maybe. Let's check that out. Free roam. Complete Firewatch to unlock free roam. Okay. I'm pretty sure I finished it. I thought I finished it. But we're gonna go ahead and start this. Yeah. Pretty awesome, right? Version of this, which has the dialogue. I didn't even know that though. It was the thing. I was like, oh shit, there's trophies for this too. So, I mean, straight off the bat, this is like just ends up being like a paramount point of mystery. You know, for people who haven't watched this or haven't played this or haven't like even like known what this is, like you understand that there is a lot of shit that goes down in Boulder, Colorado in 1975 for our character. It builds up to where he ends up. Who is Julia? Seriously though. Those who have played, you get that. It's like, who the fuck is... Alright, so... It's very interface from the very beginning. It gives you down to a point where you're kind of like picking stuff. Where you're like reading and understanding. It's like, which one do I pick? And it's like, you were drunk. So I'm just gonna go with, hey, what's going on? What's your major? Be hella chill. You know, as I slur my words and give an awkward smile, like, hey, that's my game, you know what I mean? Apparently. I spit biology. Toxology. Like, we get to know, like, she is, like, a definite worried, hurting feelings. We split a cheeseburger. A romantic. Okay.
Your stream is always awesome.
Right on, man. I appreciate that. Is it coming in smoothly? I'm hoping, because like that would be a pass for the list, if so. And I'm hoping to pass this game because I'm really happy and to share this one with everyone. Because like for me, like this is like a really up there. Like I'm a guy that loves story. Honestly, if I devour anything in a JRPG or whatever it is, or you know like PvP, whatever, if it has a story, I will fucking play the shit out of it. I like story and narrative, I guess.
Seems smooth.
Alright, cool. Well, that is good to hear then. 1080p, 60 frames, pass. I can use an object, like this backpack. We're in exploring mode. It's so convenient, just have like an arrow pointing down. There's our truck. It's pretty badass. It's like a Datsun. Yeah. Very sweet. Because apparently, you know, you can just manufacture Datsuns like no thing tomorrow. 75 ain't no thing. Oh, sweet. So, like, you know.
What's your favorite story of any video game? Or your top 3?
I appreciate you giving me wiggle room right there. Like, that I appreciate. I mean, if I had to pick one, honestly, Beyond Two Souls. Because if you play that storyline, you just, like, fucking are jaw dropped on, like, what the fuck's going on in a storyline. This is kind of like, I would almost want to say creeps into, like, the top 10, top 5. I haven't really felt too much, like, for it, because I have, like, a lot of games that go into it. Heavy Rain's kind of cool. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the story narrative, but there are games that, like, get up there to be a little bit more. But any of the Uncharted's, like, holy shit, yeah, any of those, like, I fucking love the whole, like, series of that, which is pretty chill. So it's like, there's a lot more. I mean, the very beginning of Assassin's Creeds were pretty cool, but, like, where it ended up, like, nowadays is, like, eh. I like the Ezio thing in Altair, and, like, when they very beginning. Ooh, so we have a decision. So Julia's badly in love with us. And apparently we have to go to the gentle German Shepherd. I want a German Shepherd, I'm just saying, like, and like his name is Mayhem. Kinda sold. I'm sorry, sweetheart. He's gonna be one badass dog. One badass dog. You hear that? Ferocious. Ferocious D. Anyways, so Mayhem is an excellent dog. He loves to wrestle in the park. See? He shows his net worth. He's just like, anyone wants to come over here, I'm ready to fucking spawn, motherfucker. Get down. This dog, Mayhem. Totally like the ultimate like fucking guard for everything. Alright, cool. So let's see what happens. 1979. You have a kid? I have a kid? Yeah, you know, one day, why rush, you know, right? Uh-oh. I think she's pregnant. So, we've taken a quaint little job in the middle of nowhere. Pretty cool so far. Backdrops are a lot more polished, but let me just make sure there's not a setting that I can mess with, because it looks like I have a little bit more wiggle room. Besides like the basics, which I don't think is going to change past what's inside of this. I'm assuming it's adaptable with the way it patches in. And it seems to be streaming well, so, and it looks better than the last time I played it, so I do have to admit, because like the other time it was like really cartoony, but this looks really clear as fuck.
Dash is back again, Mac.
Hey, what's up,
Plot
Dash
twist,
Feed?
Bigfoot appears.
Ooh,
Hi,
check this
I'm
out.
Sean Vanneman. I wrote the bulk of 100% of this game.
Hey,
That's
I'm
sweet.
Jake Rodkin. I
Hey,
did a
Rick's
lot
up,
of
dude.
level design, UI design,
What up,
and,
Dash?
worked with everyone on the story for Firewatch.
The game has this
That's
weird
so
structure
fucking
that Chris
hilarious.
and I talk about in another tape.
That is
The
so hilarious.
first
Look at
thing
this.
I wrote was this opening of the game that jumps between Henry's life and
I'm liking
the
this so
trip
far.
out to the woods. And I used a little product called Twine to do that, which you can download and use. It's just a very simple choose your own adventure tool. The simplest way to program a video game that one can then share with friends and play.
I think we were worried that the team would sort of
Twine.
perceive Henry as a blank slate, as sort of a generic game player protagonist.
Mac,
and we wanted
nice
to
job
make
again on
sure-
Tomb
or
Raider.
We wanted to get in everyone's mindset.
Oh,
You're
no
playing
worries,
as a
man.
specific guy with a specific life.
I had to
Yeah, there's a reason
eventually
when you
beat
play
that.
video games that a lot of your
It was nice to beat it in the
protagonists
right
have
clarity.
amnesia.
I'm glad I
Because,
shelved it.
It's really difficult when you're driving a character around who knows things about their life or his or her life that you, who you ostensibly are that person, don't know. So yeah, we kept trying to write an opening of the game that happened sort of like weeks into Henry's experience, and then quickly realized that it was like, well, why would he not be able to say X? Well, because
Wait, are you
his
watching this or
relationship with
playing
his
it?
wife is Y. So
I'm
the players
playing it
know that.
and listening
And this
to
was
the
quickest
audio
way to get
logs, because
everybody
like
on
this is
board,
kind
was
of like
to
one of the
just take
cool
thing
ones.
that the question I think for
While
Gene and
like
you
being
at the
able
beginning
to
was
like
just
freaking
who is
replay it
Henry?
is
And I would
playing
write
it
these
with the
character
audio
profiles
logs
really bad.
from the
And then I
people who
went,
created the
"Ah,
game,
what
so
if
they
I
give
just let
you a
you
little
play
bit more
the thing, and then
background.
you
So
can
it's
figure
kind of
out
like
who it is?"
listening to a
And we held on
podcast
to
while
that.
playing a video
We
game
had
while
the idea to
listening
put
to
it
a
in
guy
game.
that's
Means that when
broadcasting
you're
while
playing
streaming and
Firewatch
talking to people,
and
which
Henry
it
and
breaks
Delilah
so
talk
many
about Henry's
barriers of
wife,
fucking
you don't
dimensional
have to learn it
points.
through his dialogue, because you made the choices that brought him where he is today.
Speaking in like the fourth
Oh,
wall
gotcha.
type shit. Yeah. So as you can hear, like the audio log just clicks off, but they have them on every single one. They're numbered, and there's trophies for them, and that's why I mainly wanted to get it. And I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. Get a little bit more background on what they really want, and like what they meant in seeing it. Hold on. This seems like I actually have to pay attention to this because she seems to be mad. She's quite. Okay, she's not quite drunk, but she's clearly been having a little fun time, you know, and nothing much more. You fight, and she gets into the sheets. You get mad, nah, you just ignore him a little bit. Don't get mad.
Be right back. Need something to drink, dude. 4th time.
No worries. So we'll see what happens with Julia. And this does look really amazing. Oh, there's the second audio log. Cool. There's so many of them.
Hey, I'm Chris Remo.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Hi there. I was a game designer and the music composer on Firewatch.
Nice.
So you're hearing now the first piece of interactive music that went into Firewatch. The first piece of music that actually...
Responds to what you're doing in the game?
Exactly, yeah. So this is a piece of music that's divided into technically 6 parts. And what's happening is as you're playing through this introductory sequence, when you hit certain points in the narrative, it sends a signal to Wise, which is the name of the audio middleware we're using, and then when Wise gets that signal, it waits until the next sort of musically appropriate transition point, and then when it hits that, it smoothly transitions into the next section.
I was always
So
curious.
it creates the effect
Oh dear
that you're
gosh.
just listening to one big long piece of music that just happens to be timed very nicely
It just
to your
happens.
playthrough.
It just happens to get sadder and sadder at the exact rate that your life gets sadder and sadder.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm back.
This was a challenging process, both because I had no idea what the music should sound like, and also because it was the first interactive piece of music in the game. So the
I could beat his face in.
sort of just how does this work was also
I'm
a
just gonna
part
scare
of it.
him away.
But as it turned out,
Better than that.
this music was changed. I mean, Jake, you may remember this. This music changed relatively little over the course of development in comparison to a lot of.
I think
other
it
music.
started off as maybe 3 pieces and it expanded out to 5 over development. But other than that, it's one of the first things dropped in,
Yep.
shipped. Get ready to hear about that a lot on this commentary.
Last time I agreed for her to commute back and forth, and that did us no well. I could say this, but she would hate me forever. She'd still drive us apart. So I don't know. I'm inclined to agree. Just be a chill guy and be like, look, let's just see if we can make this work. If not, like, it's what it is. But I'll try the different path this time. Like, adjust my headphones. Alright, so, apparently, she was not very kind to me telling her that. So this is where it's kind of sad, where you see, like, she's kind of drifting away from you. Poor Julia. Dementia. She's only 40 fucking 1. And that'd be horrible. To be like losing your memory at that such of an early age. I mean, like, I don't know what I would do without my memory. Like, honestly, I do so much nowadays, and like, it's like I will forget stuff here and there, but like, it's very seldom. It's more like, wait, where did I put that McDonald's receipt? It's like, I don't remember that kind of shit anymore. I'm just like, whatever, I tossed it down somewhere. I can care less where it fucking landed. Not that I condone McDonald's eating. Like, that's your choice. I don't want McDonald's to give me some random fucking endorsement or someone to be like, well, he said eat McDonald's. Like, no. We're not starting that shit. You can spill your own fucking coffee. Oh my gosh, why? Why? Why is this journal so crazy? Why is it so high definitional? I was not ready for that. I was seriously not ready for that. Okay, so apparently causing different rifts and like your decision choices will like change different decisions in this game. So good to know. Should have been a loving husband to my wife, Julia. Let her pursue her thing. Apparently my character pursued other things too. Anyways, so Mayhem is getting a little old. He's got some silver down his hair. Oh, dude, he's distinguished. Fuck yeah. Slows down at night. You and Julia walk him to the bar. Your friend feels there's nothing. Oh, I have a feeling the dog might die soon. Not good. It's really interesting how you play a lot of like the story narrative, like of getting to know the background through right here and getting through the background of intro. Because like for me, I was like so confused. I was like, what the fuck is going on when I like, played this game for the first time? Which I can imagine how many are when they're just like sitting there, going like, am I just eating shit and like picking stuff randomly? Like, am I picking the right thing? But it's like you get to know about Julia and like how like it's like they were supposed to have like a kid. And, it's just like, I don't know, it's really sad. It's really, really sad. And, like, what this dude goes through to try to, and then, like, the family, like, ends up taking her back to Australia, and she gets worse. So I have a decision to make between the weekly visits for the nurse. I'm determined. I can make things right again. Alright. Wow. This does look really amazing. Everything. I never appreciated this game as much as I do now. I mean, they really did craft something beautiful. Because I remember, like, looking at it inside a freaking, like, shit, what was it? Like, basic game of, like, freaking, like, a Game Informer, and I was just like, oh, that looks kind of cool. It looks really badass. And I played it, and I was like, oh, it's okay. And it played amazing, like, story-wise, but the graphics were okay. This explains why it was PC that held the secret. Yeah, I know, right?
I love nature.
And nature loves you too. It's just one of those beautiful things. You just gotta respect it. But watch out, nature. Unfortunately, you have an enemy for the next 4 years. If he can reckon with it. There is no climate-controlled acts. I think that's so funny. Trump doesn't believe in global warming. It's like, Trump, you don't understand. It's like, it's something that naturally occurs. It's okay, buddy. Like, yes, humanity expands the process to be more minimal of time function that it works within. But, we have to work on terraforming and, stabilizing hot and cold and shit like that. Let's see here. First time we get up, I think we're gonna go ahead and you trust that she's gonna sleep like a rock? No. Yeah. I don't trust she's gonna sleep like a rock. Oh no. Dear gosh. Cool, there's another audio log. 4? You can get 3. Whatever.
I'm Nels Anderson, and I was a designer and gameplay programmer on Firewatch.
I am Jane Ng, and I worked on the 3D environment art in Firewatch.
So you're likely standing at the base of your home away from home. Your home in the wilderness. For all intents and purposes, more or less, this is basically just a real straight-up tower like they existed out in the woods, right?
Yeah, I think it is Portland. There's somebody in Portland who was very good about archiving a lot of blueprints about various type of fire lookouts of the state, and we got some, and that's how we started off building the Firewatch. The lookout tower, just by looking through how they were actually built.
It's slightly taller than a real one, right?
And we had to make quite a bit of adjustments because, for example, the stairway you see here, normally fire lookout stairways are not on the outside, but for more interesting gameplay and views for the player, we opted to change that. But ultimately we still wanted the tower to feel like a real tower, so we had to figure stuff like, hey, how does the plumbing actually work? How do they get water? Stuff like that. It actually is very important for a real tower.
And if you go look around the base of the tower, you will actually see a big old plastic cistern.
We are not a survival game of any sort, but it is important to make sure that all that stuff is actually thought out, so the space feels realistic.
Right. You don't want someone playing the game being like, wait a minute, there's no how does this guy drink? How is he not dead?
When I normally play video games, I'm always interested in stuff like, hey, where's the bathroom? Here we have the outhouse and you can go anywhere, but stuff like water is very important. So in a real fire lookout situation, what they do is they will use a cistern, and they will capture rainwater from the roof, and you will actually see that we actually have a little pipe down from the roof. And we even have what they call a first flush filter being there, which is actually what they use.
That's my favorite kind of filter, really.
Yeah, I had to look at what do they do? Because once you go, okay, you collect rainwater from the roof, it won't be all nasty.
Singular minds.
And then, oh, hey, somebody already figured that out on how to collect rainwater. What do you know?
We actually visited
Who would've thunk
a
it?
number of different lookout towers as we were researching the game, and it was always very satisfying to see elements of things we saw in the real world and make their way back into the game, and vice versa.
See, it's still
We also
decorative.
make sure to have a tab here, like a little faucet, where you can actually get water from the cistern.
So it's up to
Got
our
to
radio
go.
tower.
If you click on it,
I
you
will
will
try
see
to
an animation
catch
of
the
a hand
next one.
gripping a
Yeah, definitely. I'll
knob,
see you
and
next
water
time.
comes out for 2 seconds. Doesn't do anything,
Yeah.
but it's there.
I think for a while we actually were thinking, should we just let the player turn on the water? Or then what happens if the water just runs out? And then James had a very good idea of just going just make
Oh, they did a
one
really
animation
bad
that
job of having the audio log
turn
over
on
it, volume being lower than the
and
other.
turn it off immediately, just so that you know, hey, there's water in here and you won't die. That's Henry.
So what's wrong?
What's wrong with you?
That's a great
That's
idea.
a great way to end it.
Look, I just hiked for 2 days.
So
I
this
don't
is Delilah.
Follow whatever it is you're doing right now.
She is the person on the
Take
other
a stab
side.
at what's wrong with me.
Fine, then can I sleep forever?
She's very feisty.
Sure, buddy. Okay, now go ahead.
Okay, you're probably out here because nobody back home can stand you. Which, this brief introduction is not a big shock.
Ouch. I'll
Henry's
chalk
a
that up to you
realist.
being tired and grumpy.
Well, get some sleep then.
One sec. Now it's my turn.
Okay, good night, bye.
Yeah, I don't know anything about you. then folks out here simply got dumped.
Huh, is that it?
Close?
Good night.
Good night. Welcome to the job.
Firewatch. Day 1. Man, that poster's so epic. So I like looked over and like realized my freaking like Astro A50 poster for like the docking bay is like spread out, and I was like, it's like fucking blueprints. It's so cool. I was about to say the loading should be like pretty killer fast.
Good morning,
Got stuck
Henry.
at the very last
I
part.
guess good afternoon. You probably slept like a rock. Anyway, there's still a few hours of daylight to get some work in. I can see you at your desk, so call me when you're ready.
Okay, she's spying on us. Kind of creepy. I guess I'll just call her.
Hey, sorry. Guess I slept in.
You got a relaxing, 14 hours of sleep? Whew.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's pretty
Jesus,
good.
I guess it's what, 6?
6:45.
Whoops.
Don't worry about it. That hike puts everyone out of commission for a day or two. But now that you're up, let me quickly get you acquainted with the job. There's a thing in the middle of your room with a round map on it. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
This is the Osborne Firefinder, invented in 1914 by W.B.
Osborne?
Well,
You use this to spot, you guessed it,
fires.
What the fuck?
What is it?
Nothing.
Fire?
You use this to... Oh, fuck me!
Good God, language, lady.
Wow,
Out your
she's
west-facing window. Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
she's pretty forthcoming.
Are those fucking fireworks?
Whoa, that's not legal, right?
No. You need to get down there right now and stop them. Fire
Alright.
danger is through the fucking roof.
Is that really my job?
Your job is whatever I say it is. Look, the closest ranger is like 2 days away. Go down
Don't
there
you
and
dare
set it
start
straight.
that, Delilah.
Do you think you can handle that?
Do I write him a ticket?
Easy there, Dirty Harry.
Well,
Get going. You'll probably need a rope to get down the shale
Seriously, it's
between
just
you
like
and the lake, if I remember right.
Smokey the Bear
There
said you
should
gotta
be
pay
one in the
this shit.
supply box on the way. The code is 1234. It's actually that for all of them.
I didn't want to ruin it.
smart.
Shut up.
Eh. So good. Alright, let's listen to tape 3 now.
Nels, it feels like you on the team did the most sort of digging about what the real job is like, what is in the actual space, and then checked us against reality when we kind of went off the reservation.
I mean, in general, I really like doing research. That's sort of a thing I've enjoyed on all the projects I've worked on.
Oh,
So
damn
for
it,
this,
that's not
a
where I
bunch of
wanted
folks
it
on the
to go.
team read this great book called Fire
Well.
Season by Philip Connors, which is kind of like
It's fine, it'll pick itself up.
memoir-ish thing from this dude who still is an
I
active
might have
fire
went the
lookout
wrong
even
way.
today. But I also just I called
Yeah, I
up
think
the
I did.
Ministry of Forests and Natural Resources here in British Columbia and got redirected to like 3 increasingly small Ministry of Forest offices until someone just gave me literally the phone number of this cool old lady who had once been a fire lookout. So I just kind of chatted with her for like an hour and a half just about what the job was like. The reason why the game is
Seriously,
not
that
a
was an
simulation of
interesting
being a fire lookout
conversation.
is because what everyone talks about is that the number one challenge with the job is that it is incredibly, impossibly boring.
Because you can't, like, read a book. You can't, like, be doing other things, right? Like,
Not really.
yeah.
At the end of day 3, where Delilah mentions it's like, Kenny's like, well, what do I do for the rest of the summer? She's like, you sit in that chair and you look out the window. That is actually what fire lookouts really do. So all the folks I talked to said, like, figuring out ways to combat boredom is the number one thing. The lady I talked to, she said she did a whole lot of needlepoint and cross stitch because you can do that without looking at your hands very much. Obviously, like, lookouts are also responsible for doing, maintenance on their towers. But again, it's like not maintenance
Kind of
because
minimal.
some crazy Yahoo
Okay.
smashed up your tower. It's maintenance like, oh, the paint is
So
kind of flaking off.
gotten
Better
4
paint
and
it.
3, so
Or
5 is
these
next.
trees have grown too tall,
So
so
we
I
just
need
gotta
to chop them
go
down. Not I'm chopping down trees to
west.
form a weird log bridge.
The main takeaway from whenever we would talk to someone who had done this job is, why would you make a game about that? That is the most boring time of my entire life. So
This is
hopefully,
an amazing
we
story.
showed them how.
It feels like people who do this job like fall into two camps, right? They're the people who think they can do it and can't hack it and bail after like a month or two. You know, people like Jack Kerouac, who tried to do this and wrote about it in Desolation Angels, and then he went crazy from a lack of cigarettes and then left. Or the people who kind of enjoy the solitude and then figure out ways to deal with it. But, you know, we do have, like, a lot of the window dressing for the stuff people use. Like, other folks I talk to, it's like, what do you do? Well, we read a lot of books. And we, like, trade the books between the different lookouts through rangers and stuff like that. So, of course, Firewatch has a
They did
crap
write
ton
that
of
in.
weird books in
So
it.
funny.
Stuff like that.
I'm wondering what was up with the fucking books. Honestly, like I was like wondering why you could pick them up and turn them around, and there was like so attention to detail with authors and shit like that. And I was just like, this has to be like an inside thing. Like playing it the first time around, I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with their book? Like object, like throw, like everything else is like so like stock. So it's like, you know, like basic tools. Books were just like everywhere inside. Like the freaking like you open up like this like random chest and you'd be like, what the fuck is this? And like there's a book in there, you're like, what the? Okay. Not really treasure. I gotta go back. I hear those fireworks. Wow, these headphones are really good. Go ahead and pop this in so we can go down, because you guys are going to totally dig this. Let me put this map away.
Hi there, it's Jake.
And Chris again.
Hey, so here we are in the cache box clearing, or at least I guess that's what we call it. There's a lot of cache boxes in Firewatch, but this was the first one that we placed into the game.
For a long time, this was the cache box.
It was the cache box, even though we knew we wanted to have more. This area was actually one of the first areas that we've built out to any degree that looks like a piece of the world. It was a really good proving ground for us. Like when me and Nels Anderson were grayboxing the world at the very beginning, we tried a million different things.
So you can
like
add
maybe
certain
something
like
to a
ways
cliff,
that they
or
add to
maybe
the
it
map.
was a secret
So
that
each
you
time
had
you
to
go
find.
there, you want to always like
And, I
just
think
sketch
it
them in.
was Sean
Pretty easy.
who suggested that he
Take
really
notes.
wanted it to feel like a warm, sort of enclosed space, like you've stumbled onto a little glen and you want to stay there
To read them directly, which I
for a
now
while, which I
know
think
pauses
makes sense
that.
'cause we wanted people to
Do
actually
not know.
stop and poke around and have it not feel like the woods.
This was an area with a lot of firsts. I remember this really ended up looking a lot like Ollie's concept art in a way I think that felt like an accomplishment when it all got built out.
No,
It was
no, no,
also
no.
the first audio I implemented in the entire game, I believe.
The Foley on the locks and the lid.
Right, exactly.
Oh, this was
yeah.
this was also the cache box was also our proving ground for detailed object interaction with Henry animating the lock, and also there is an exit out if you back up and turn left. That was the first time I prototyped one-way drops and also any like sort of secret paths, because the way that you cross the canyon also showed up here, and I didn't tell anyone on the team about it for like months, and people only noticed it once they started playing the back half of the game, and it was very fulfilling for me.
Nice.
Cache box.
Cache box, land of firsts and secrets.
That's the state flag of cache boxes.
It's fucking fireworks.
Jake,
Oh, hey, Sean.
you did a neat thing here in the game that I like a lot, which is when you make a dialogue choice with Delilah about what this dangerous hill should be called. It shows up on your map, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, when we were putting the map system together, well, actually, the map weirdly was one of the latest things, one of the final things to come into the game as a fully fleshed out piece. But an upside of that is we built the map using a lot of tools we already had. For instance, the system that checks
I think this is
which
gonna
things
hurt.
you haven't talked about, which things you haven't found in the game. Use the same variable list as our speech system. So when I was putting this together, I realized, oh, not only can I put a mark down on the map when Henry finds it or talks about it, but I can totally look at the same tools we use for dialogue and figure out what the player said and put it on the map. And the end result felt really natural. I actually wish we'd gone a little deeper on it in the game, but I'm really happy with what's in there right now. Also, please name this shitty boss is going to get me killed, because that's objectively the best name for the hill.
Is that your handwriting?
Yeah, you got to cram that in there, but it's still readable.
My rope snapped coming down the shale slide.
You didn't break anything, did you?
No,
No.
I think I'll make it.
Well, be careful for Christ's sake.
Okay, another time.
Hey, there's a tie-off point off here just a little away from the shale slide.
Oh, you ready to get back on that horse, huh?
Well, I can't go any further is what I'm saying.
That heads south down to the creek, but you should be able to get to the lake just by continuing west. Without any, mountaineering.
All right.
It's a long summer. You can explore later.
That would be cool, though. Living in a cabin, just...
Wow, there's a big rock outcropping down here near the lake. It's really something.
Yeah, makes for good camping. There used to be a group of guys who would boulder out there a couple times a year.
What happened to him?
Dunno. Just stopped coming out.
I'm staring at the big outcropping down here, but I'm not quite sure where to look for our pyrotechnicians.
Maybe keep heading west toward the lake.
Hi, this is Ollie Moss, and I was the art director on Firewatch.
I'm Jane.
Hi, Jane.
Let's talk about this teen
Let's
party
talk about
zone.
Let's talk about the Teen Zone. So the Teen Zone is one of the first areas that we used as a sort of art test to see how we would go about building the rest of the game.
We knew from the pretty early on that, on day one, you will start from the tower, and you will have to head down to the lake, and somewhere in between, you will see some teens, and they're partying. And so we called this the teen zone, because this is where all the teen stuff is.
Yeah, and it was important to us that the reveal that it was a group of teens was communicated through the level design. So the idea was to
Where's
just
that raccoon?
walk through some trees and burst out into this scene where a campfire was still burning.
And you had a pretty strong idea of what you wanted to look like.
Yeah, I just wanted to put some big...
So happy.
little
Listen,
raccoon, which is
whatever the hell it's
basically
doing, it's so happy.
The my modus operandi for the entire game. But we wanted to have a big angular sort of rock, which became known as Pride Rock because it looked so much like the rock from The Lion
No,
King.
we did name that Pride Rock. That rock does serve as a very strong landmark pretty early in the game, and it kind of does point the player in the right direction.
Exactly. Should we talk a little bit about our process for designing these areas?
So in the beginning, when we just have no concept art, we will just mock it out with just literally just gray boxes and a gray terrain. And then we will take.
Damn, these girls partied.
Ollie to be like, please pretty this up, Ollie.
Oh well, first of all, I'll do a terrible garbage sketch and pitch it to the team. And if people like the gist of it, then we'll go away and do a bit more of a detailed drawing, and then you would go.
Yeah, we'll add in some more shapes. And then we just keep going back and forth with paint overs from Ollie.
And then it's just a sort of tennis, really, just back and forth between the two of us until everyone's happy with what we have.
Yeah.
Damn it. Could be a fucking park ranger. Speaking of, you know what? Fuck this. Modern art. Damn it, nature. Be like, I love you. That one looks full. It's mine.
They left half a bottle of whiskey. Decent stuff.
Drunk pyromaniacs. Fucking great.
Calling card.
Oh, look, they decided to have a campfire, too.
You know, they color-coded the fire danger signs in case people were illiterate. But I guess that doesn't take into account just plain stupid, does it?
Nope.
Found the fireworks. They didn't even try to hide them.
Ugh. Well, confiscate them.
My beer. And these girls are fucking wasted. I mean, think about it. How many fucking beer cans have we found emptied? Half a bottle of fucking whiskey. Like, I mean, that would put me in a fucking very, like, interesting zone of being drunk. Like, I'm just saying, like, I don't know how big these girls are. I mean, they could very much...
Dash has been so quiet, lol.
I know, right? We're radioing about these backpacks.
They left their packs tied up here.
Don't fuck with them. The last thing we need is some hikers filing a report about harassment.
Harassment, my ass. Crazy ass fools. Alright. Let's keep going, though. Ready? Let's stomp this fire out. Smoky.
Well, they left their clothes out to dry. It looks like 2 people. What if they're naked?
Won't
I think
that
they're
be
naked.
exciting? Look, they're obviously still there, so tell them off and then head back.
I think I'm gonna leave that one out of the report. Oh my. Dirty ass panties. Like some 80s montage.
Found them in the lake, naked.
Skinny dipping.
Yeah.
That guy over there? Hey, he's going to mess with our stuff. Don't go back.
No, I'm just dancing near the audio log. Don't mind me.
Let's go to the other side of the lake. Later, Skeezer.
My name is Patrick Ewing. I worked on tools and gameplay programming.
The teens, Patrick.
Let's open some old wounds here.
This is like going back to like an old battleground and being like on these
Exactly.
I want to keep the
grounds.
team
Yeah.
boombox.
died on
things
this hill.
happened. I died on this hill.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the most complex interactions in the game, if not the most, right?
Yeah.
And it was in the game from the very first vertical slice we did, and then I think we kind of added
Previous
to it as
reply?
we went
Next
through it
reply?
and saw,
That's kind
like,
of cool.
oh, we should be able to throw the boombox in the lake, obviously.
I'll tell her, it's
okay,
done.
the teens need to react to the boombox being in the lake. Oh, but then they should also react to you putting it down.
What you should do if you're making a video game is build relatively ironclad, predictable AI and systems that react to inputs. But instead, we built a series of relatively flimsy state machines that were like, if this, if this, if this, but not when, and also if.
Right.
And we're able to create this scene as designed. And Patrick was sort of the shepherd of this scene. So whenever anything would break, if you were to throw the boombox and the teens were not to respond, or you leave with the boombox and they would talk about something else, it was Patrick's job to ferret into the
Right.
state machine and
Right.
figure out what was going on.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
I'm happy with how it turned out. There are so many different ways that this scene can play out now, depending on what you choose to do. Do you throw the fireworks at them? Do you talk to them and then start?
I can
messing
throw the
with their stuff
fireworks at
again?
them?
And it
What
ends up
the
being
fuck?
Pretty,
How do I do that?
believable. They feel like real characters. It's just such a crazy spaghetti code in the
in the back end that I'm always terrified when I see someone play through it, that there's
You're
some
still
interaction that we didn't think
afraid
about.
that right
yeah.
now the player is interacting with the teams in a way that is completely not by the book. And
I mean, luckily we
beads of
haven't.
sweat are building on your brow.
Yeah, I think it's just a PTSD response at this point. We would see the bug reports if this was actually still breakable.
Yeah.
Hey, you keep your lights on at night?
I'm doing a crossword puzzle. I do a lot of crossword puzzles.
Hey, there's a trail to Two Forks Tower down here near the lake.
Yeah, that's your tower.
So I should go this way.
Well, you're not climbing back up that slide.
For the first time, I lobbed that fucking radio in the water. I don't feel safe. I feel like we're being watched. Someone's creeping on us, creeping on them. Which is us just trying to say, hey, don't make a fire. We are the Firewatch. That was interesting. Last time that played out different.
So, I have a bit of a confession to make.
Which is...
What is...
Okay, I was drunk last night when I welcomed you to the job.
Yeah, well, you're not the first boss to be guilty of that.
I know, I just feel a little pushy, putting you on the spot about why you're out here and stuff.
It's fine.
I'll keep that sort of a thing to a minimum. Anyway, let me know when you get back to your lookout.
Hi everyone, this is Ben Burbank. I'm a programmer at Campo Santo, predominantly doing graphics work and performance stuff. And I'm here with Jane.
Hi, I'm back.
And we're going to talk a
Jane
little bit
is everywhere,
in
seriously.
general, how the world sort of streams
She's in
in.
so many different interviews.
This is a big open world game.
She a
There
hustler.
are, like, what, tens of thousands of trees somewhere in there?
Yeah, and we have how many chunks of the world that we stream in and out?
There are 100 plus.
Yeah, I think over 120.
One of the big challenges with that was we have to remove parts of it when you're not looking at it, because video game consoles and computers don't like to draw things that aren't seen.
Especially not a lot of trees.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for that little graphics card to try and draw all those that big forest. So the canyon's one of the spots where we have like obvious occlusion where you can't see most of the world. So we unload like the tower hub. The tower that you see in the canyon is fake. It's a small fake version.
Yeah.
Which is a common trick.
Yeah, so it's like a very low cost version of what it would actually be there.
One of the biggest challenges for Jane and people building the levels was figuring out line of sight. So how far can you see? Like if you have a point where you can see entirely across the map, we had to be very careful about what is actually loaded and what's actually drawing.
Yeah, so even though the canyon is pretty much a straight corridor, we had to put in some kinks in there. So, like right sort of in the middle, there's a little area where you have to go around a rock. This is so that we could make sure you won't be looking at the lake when we basically delete it out of the world.
Yeah. The game also, it's sort of non-linear. Like there's
That's
a linear
right.
story going on, but there's the ability for the player to just go backwards. So we also had to keep in mind like reverse line of sight and things like that, which is a little different than a traditional action game or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like a
Yeah,
little
it
puzzle
really
game
is
to
like
figure
kind of
out
explore,
when
do what you want for the
it
most
streams
part.
in and out things. So hopefully you don't notice any of it, because if you do, that's actually us not doing a great job.
You probably won't notice it.
We need to find every nook and cranny and then email them and be like, ha, I found it. You did a good job, but you can do better. Like, who the fuck is this guy? Sweet, we have a flashlight. No batteries, but they work sometimes.
There's a horn or an antler or whatever.
Well, antlers are made of bone, and horns are made of the same stuff as your fingernails.
I guess this is a bone.
Antler. A ranger must have found it this spring.
Return to the wild, young antler. You'll thrive.
What's in this cave down here?
In Thunder Canyon?
Thunder Canyon?
I like it.
Hey, I didn't name it. But in the cave, I don't know, rocks. NFS tells people not to go too far in there. It's pretty dangerous.
So
I say, fuck it. You're a grown man, you can go where you want.
great. Used to go caving with someone back in Colorado. She loved it. Might be great
But
to explore
lucky.
sometime this summer. It looks like the path leads through the cave.
Back in the cave, huh? Man, I don't need to lose another lookout in there.
Another lookout?
Hey, housekeeping.
They never come out.
So this is another one of your jokes.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Hello?
Nothing.
This cave is gated off.
It's to stop spelunkers from dying without getting the keys from the Forest Service office first.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Sign the contracts and
Debbie
they
said
can
she
die.
lost them like 3 years ago, so maybe its mysteries are locked away for good.
Ah, damn.
Yeah, but maybe you can find another one.
Hi, I'm Jane. We're back.
There's Jane again.
Let's talk about this cave, Ollie.
Oh, let's not.
This cave really gave us all quite a bit of headache, actually. I was actually kind of having a mini panic attack because one of the hardest things to light in games actually is any area that's sort of half indoor and half outdoor, and this cave is a pain in the butt to light.
It is. Well, having we thought you'd be an old pro at this, having worked on a game called The Cave. But yeah, it caused a lot of problems in terms of the logic gating of the environment switches, because every time the time of day changes in the game, it then like sets that time of day.
Because there's no doorway really.
So the way the cave is lit, it's actually just.
Oh, I want to
changes
see the
time of
creepy
day in
guy
the
one.
game. So like when you hit the trigger, if
Tell
you
us how
could
creepy
somehow
this
magically
guy is.
transport yourself back outside the cave, you'd see like the sun spinning through the sky, the sky changing, and it was really hard to make that process invisible to the player and make it feel natural.
Not to mention that when you're inside the cave, everything also has to look really dark. And we use a method called image-based lighting throughout the game. And that basically means that all the objects, like all the trees and rocks, just look out to the sky to see what their lighting should be. And so in the cave, we actually had to do sort of like a fake sky for anything inside that is just dark. So the lighting inside would be appropriately dark.
But still navigatable to a player without the
Exactly.
flashlight.
And also to be able to have a smooth transition when you're going from the brightly lit outside to the really dark inside and coming back out again and having all the appropriate logic for the time of day, like Ollie said, it was just a real pain in the butt.
All right.
I love the little details in Firewatch's branching dialogue. There are a lot of very subtle, hard-to-notice things that Sean put in while writing it that you really couldn't notice without multiple playthroughs, but they add up to this feeling that you're talking to real people who, just like real people, kind of echo back things you said earlier, who continue in jokes that have been established, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the subtlest that I don't think I even noticed till I was rewiring the game midway through is the spooky figure who you meet towards the end of day one.
Spooky figure. The teens call you a creep. Henry calls the guy who's putting a flashlight in his face a creep.
Right.
He goes, "There's some guy out here creeping," or he says something like, "He's a creep out here." She's like, "A creep, Henry." He's like, "Yeah, there's a guy who's spooking me out here. I don't like it." And I mean, I like doing stuff like that. I pay a lot of attention to the sort of infectiousness of language.
Yeah.
especially in this office, someone will start using a turn of
He
phrase.
loves to articulate.
Then I'll be at lunch with someone later. I'll be out with Jake or whatever, and then I'll hear the phrase
Theory crafting?
through them.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, you know, like if somebody was saying, "Oh, there was a total creep outside at the bus stop," then it wouldn't be long. Like 18 hours later, it would be totally conceivable to hear Jake be like, "Oh yeah, that guy's kind of a creep. I don't know if we should have him by or whatever."
Yep.
Man, okay, like that word is now like bubbling along the surface of our social network here, and I like people are like that. People are weird, sort of like passive, like non-participatory sponges sometimes, and I just like putting that stuff in the writing. And you can do that in games in a way that you can't do that in other media. If you do that in like a book or something,
That's
it's
true.
so double underlined. It feels like you're making a big point as an author, but in a game, because it's player driven and it's passive, it just feels causal and the way the world.
Well, at least we fell forward, not backwards.
Damn it.
Chris again here.
Hey, and Jake, congratulations, player. You have completed the teen loop.
Oh man, that's true. This is the end of what was originally called teenloop.unity, a scene file in our game engine Unity, because we thought that was just going to be the file corresponding to the first
this piece of game that you've just played.
Yeah, this first big objective.
But then we kept building, so all of Firewatch is in fact saved inside of a file called teenloop.unity. So know that for the rest of your play experience, you are inside of the teen loop.
Yeah. This part of the game, you probably are right now if you're listening to these commentary notes basically in sequence. The music.
I'm trying
is
to,
either about
jeez,
begin or
they're out of
has just
sequence.
kicked in. It's dark. You're finding your tower's been broken into. This I really strongly remember feeling when this went into the game and had the music, which was actually the first music implemented in the entire game. All this stuff together felt to me like the first real moment of assertive tension in the game, and it felt really crazy.
Yeah, because we had our environment system working for the first time, so the sky turned to nighttime, and our world logic allowed the tower to switch into its broken into state just when you were off in the world for the first time, and then when that music finally came in, we're like, oh, wow, okay, this is a world that's alive and can be tense and cinematic, and all of it happened without us ever having to cut the camera. I remember we were all very proud and stoked of that.
For sure.
That was like right before we first demoed the game, I think, at the
Uh-oh.
Arcade Expo.
Yeah, because the end of day one was the end of the first demo.
Yeah.
Right before this, there's the moment with the creepy guy in the woods, and that was sort of a moment of tension.
It really
but
is.
that's also arguably maybe not, because it's immediately deflated by Delilah.
Right, but this
was like,
holy crap.
Okay, I remember feeling kind of nervous about it because it was like,
Seriously.
the game is declaring this is a tense moment, and if it falls flat, we have failed. We can't like make a joke to diffuse it. And I think it basically worked. And
That's true. Just slipping like a joke killed the whole mood.
They wrecked the place. Threw my typewriter out the window. Motherfucker.
No more typing for you.
I'll let the Forest Service know what happened.
The place is trashed.
Okay, I put in a call.
That was fast.
Yeah, well, do you have any idea who could have done this?
No.
I don't know. Who's out here?
I mean, I don't know either. I've never had a lookout be a target for violence.
Great.
I can't believe someone would do this. I mean, I worry about bears and fires, and that's about it, and now I've got to worry about who knows what out there. Okay, in the morning I'm going to call my friend Patty, who works the desk down in Cody. They keep a list of everyone who's officially been in and out of the trailhead since, I don't know, forever, and see if we can get a list of names. We won't get much, but at least if anything else happens, we can refer to it and see if anything comes up.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
I need you to feel safe out here.
I want to feel safe.
Don't
Don't
worry.
worry.
Oh, you can yourself, huh?
I just don't worry about it.
I got my fists.
Keep that attitude up and you'll have an excellent summer.
Oh yeah. This is a great way to end the stream on day 2. We'll start day 2 tomorrow. I get it, tomorrow. But let me see if the very end of this, it's just like pop out after that loading thing. Tends to want to end. Seems like the ending part's kind of difficult for it, but it is rendering some pretty cool graphics, so I personally like it myself, so there we go.
Wake up.
Never forget, it's one of those weird ones. But, alright guys,